I see a country in quicksand, unable to solve problems and threats from abroad, unable to make life better for people here at home. Nothing gets done. I talk to teachers and truckers and nurses, and they feel like they're just running in place, and it's not adding up to anything. I talk to people who are just like me, who are the first in their family to go to college. They've got a lot of student debt, can't buy a home, can't start a business. I talk to kids who sit in their classroom afraid that they'll be the next victim of gun violence. And they see Washington doing nothing about it after the moments of silence. And they see lawmakers who love their guns more than they love our kids. And none of that is going to change until we get a leader who is willing to go big on the issues we take on, be bold in the solutions we offer, and do good in the way that we govern. I'm ready to solve these problems. I'm running for president of the United States.
All right. After months of speculation, Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California has officially thrown his hat into the 2020 race. Swalwell, a 38-year-old member of the House Intel Committee, has been a prominent voice on Russian interference in U.S. elections and other investigations into the Trump administration's dealings with foreign powers. He's also made gun reform a top priority during his time in Congress. His first major event as a candidate will be a town hall on ending gun violence later today, just 13 miles from Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. And moving on now to another candidate, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar's presidential campaign announced yesterday that she has raised $5.2 million in the first 7 weeks of her 2020 bid. Klobuchar's campaign said that the average online donation made was $40. And that 85% of donors gave less than $100. Klobuchar's first quarter fundraising totals puts her just ahead of New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, who announced over the weekend he raised $5 million, but behind South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who has raised $7 million for his potential presidential campaign. However, some Democrats are voicing concerns about the low fundraising totals being posted by the 2020 Democratic presidential field. Rufus Gifford, a former U.S. ambassador and the former finance director for President Obama's re-election campaign, tweeted yesterday, quote, "I have to say I'm concerned by how little money the 2020 Dem candidates are raising." Giffords continued, "The last time there was a large primary field in first quarter 2007, the top three candidates, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and John Edwards, raised big totals, though donors were able to give less. So far, every candidate to release their numbers have posted significantly less than the $26 million raised by Clinton and the $25 million raised by Obama in the first quarter of their primary battle."
So, John Hyland, what is the impact of these Democrats raising so few dollars?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say it's so few dollars, Joe. And there's no doubt that in 2008 it was a little bit of an unusual circumstance. You had Hillary Clinton, who was a fundraising juggernaut, and you had Barack Obama, who was a star on the rise in a way in the party that none of or very few of the Democrats this time around they were. You also, the fact that you only had, it was very clear from the very beginning of that race that it was a three-person race. There were 8 or 9 people in the field, but Obama, Clinton, and Edwards were seen from the very beginning as the top tier. I think what's happening now in the Democratic race is that there are so many candidates that are all competing for dollars, and there's so little clarity about the shape of the field that a lot of traditional big dollar donors are waiting to see what the field is before they make a determination about who they want to be with. And a lot of people competing for the low dollar is now the way that people tend to raise. And so the combination of this change in the fundraising landscape with this very populated, crowded field, with it being an unsettled field, it's fair to compare the two, and I understand Rufus Gifford's point, but I'd be interested to see where we are by the third quarter, say, when the Democratic field, after a couple debates, has shaken out, and it's a little clear what the top tier of the race is, whether they're still struggling or whether they're still falling short, I should say, to raise money. I think that'd be a greater concern for Democrats. At the moment, things are just like, it's such a crazy field right now that I wouldn't be as concerned. If I were a Rufus Gifford, I might think about the perspective from that point of view.
But Gene, you look at all the people that are jumping in, and there does seem to be a new candidate every day.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a crowding out effect. Nobody's going to be able to raise a ton of money, and the bundlers, the people that were driving those Clinton numbers to 26 million and the Obama numbers to 25 million. They're doing the smart thing right now. They're sitting on the sideline because this is like people milling into a Nationals baseball game like an hour before the game. The stands are slowly filling up. You just don't know how many people are going to be there by the end.
Yeah, but I mean, it's starting to get a little worrisome how many people are going to be there, Joe. I mean, look, who's not running? I mean, everybody so far who we thought might kind of, sort of, maybe run is actually running, and I think I think John Hellman's point is a good one. There are so many of them that obviously the money is kind of spread out, and yes, the bundlers are sitting on the sidelines, but at some point, this field does have to start to differentiate, and there's so many candidates that it's getting to be time now when we start to identify a top tier and a middle tier and then the rest, and they need to start raising some money, building some organization, getting out there, getting that name recognition. So I guess I share a bit of Giffords' concerns that nobody is really shooting out the lights, not even Bernie.
But Willie, if you're Joe Biden, you love how this is shaping up.
Yep.
You have 20, 25, maybe 30 candidates by the end to split up the field, and then you're Joe Biden sitting there with you walk in day one with 35% of the vote. A new South Carolina poll out yesterday showing he's dominating in South Carolina as well. And again, you're the one that has the name ID and that's leading all the early polls. You want 25, 30 candidates that are cutting each other up.
And that's where a lot of those traditional Democratic donors are sitting waiting for their money, some of the Obama money, because Joe Biden is so closely associated with President Obama. Of course, you also, aside from Joe Biden, we're waiting to see if Seth Moulton, Terry McAuliffe, maybe even Stacey Abrams gets in. Michael Bennett, that's right. The entrance of Eric Swalwell last night makes it 18 candidates. We could be up to 23 or 24 or something like that soon.
Yeah, and the Montana governor is thinking about coming in as well. He's a great candidate as well. But I mean, that'll be 30 candidates, Willie.
Yeah, we're going to need stadium seating at the debates, I think, just going right up the side of the place. But
just too much.
Let's just say, I mean, this is obviously, it goes without saying, very early in the race. This field will get winnowed down. And I think to a lot of Democrats, this is preferable to what they had 4 years ago when there was a coronation of Hillary Clinton with Bernie Sanders serving as the spoiler. I think a debate about progressive ideas is what a lot of Democrats want. And it will take time, but people will fall to the wayside, and they think that out of these 23 or 25 people, they will find somebody who can beat Donald Trump.
All right, still ahead, we're going to talk to a member of the House Homeland Security Committee about what she thinks the Trump administration should do to address border security, especially in the wake of all the new shakeups. Morning Joe is back in a moment.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.